It's Wake Up Worlds Groups Day 2. Team Liquid lose to Machi Esports in a surprising upset. It's a tough day for NA as TSM go down 0-2 in the group stage. G2 versus Suning, one of the greatest Worlds matches of all time? And who will be our player of the day?
Taking on the damage now, Mystic shot over the wall, Perkz with the follow-up, able to find the kill. SOFM's still alive, but he's down to 1/3 HP. He goes in, he's looking to steal the drink, but he will not be able to do it. Here's a losing hand, buddy! Yankos ends up grabbing the kill, facilitated by Caps, and G2 will take the Elder trade.
See an angle. Inspired looks like he wants to try to go for the steal. We'll see if he can find it.
Fire going in for the 50-50. Is he going to be able to do it? Looking to maybe take down the Baron. No, he will not. Nagari gets the kill.
Wherever TSM, they can't get there in time. Bjergsen dive bombed in with the Stormbringer and BDD punches him to death. Brazilian down by a boss. And next on the menu is the Mystic shot. Finds its mark. Double it, trying to dance around as much as he can, but it's a double for Ruler. And Gen.G have broken this game wide open.
Day 8 of the World Championship is in the books, and we're here to break it all down. It's Wake Up Worlds. Welcome one, welcome all to NA Sucks at Worlds. Can you see the look on Tyler's face, everybody? Do you see the look of a man dejected and sad and crushed? It's like Ralph Wiggum on The Simpsons. I can pinpoint the exact moment that his heart broke. It was probably about 10 minutes into that TL Machi matchup. Maybe sooner. Maybe a little later. But we're gonna get to it. Is that a sigh of a defeated man, Tyler?
Oh, when my bosses came to me and pitched me a daily world show, is like, okay, we know you love going to Worlds, Tyler. You know you've been to the last 4 Worlds for us. You gone to China and South Korea and Europe and traveled all across America, and you've been to all these World Championships. But we can't go this year because of COVID and the bubble. So why not? Let's just do a daily world show where you can have a daily world show where you can share your thoughts and have fun and, you know, be happy and make some jokes and make some memes and, you know, smile and laugh for all the fans out there. And we are 2 days into the main event group stage, and I'm dead inside. I am dead inside. I am sad. I only feel pain, and pain is my existence. It hurts. It hurts. It hurts. Why do I like this? Why do I cover this Forsaken region? Why do I tweet about them? Why do I try to, like, pump these guys up? Why do I saddle myself to a region that is destined to fail over and over and over again, where I take these small victories over teams like Legacy Esports, where I'm like, oh boy, Team Liquid beat Oceania. We're going to the moon, boys. We're going to the moon. And then every year we go against real teams from real regions like China and Europe and South Korea, and I'm embarrassed, and I am attacked on Twitter, and everyone puts the Peepo Pog memes, and they all laugh at me, and they say LOLNA, they say you're delusional, and they laugh at me. And here I sit, Arda. We are 2 days of the World Championships, and the PCS, the Asia Pacific League, they killed the LMS. They literally destroyed the LMS, and they made this random league, the PCS, combining into the Southeast Asian region. They cut their representatives in half. There's only 2 of them here, and they are 1-2. And one of those wins is over North America, and North America is 0-4 through the first 2 days of the tournament. And I don't think we've won a team fight. I don't think NA has won a single team fight in these first 2 days. We don't have a win. We don't even have a team fight. I am in so... It hurts. It hurts. And I just have to sit here, and every day I go on Twitter and I talk myself up, and I sleep Arda. I go to sleep after the show ends, and I wake up rejuvenated thinking, maybe this is the day that North America turns it around. Maybe this is the day where my optimism, my boyhood optimism comes and shines, and things happen, and things change, and Team Liquid and TSM and FlyQuest bring me out of my misery. But each night, I come back here and I have to regale the tale of terrible, terrible things as thousands of Twitter trolls with anime avatars laugh at me, Arda. That is my life currently. How are you?
I'm doing fine. Thanks for asking. I just want to... I'm not laughing at you, I promise. I'm not laughing at you.
Oh, yeah.
It's just the gravity of the situation. So we don't have much to talk about today, folks. It's going to be a very light show. Maybe a couple things here and there, but okay, let's get into it. Let's
get into it.
Let's try to take our emotions out of this and understand exactly how we got into this position in the first place. So let's start with Machi. They upset Team Liquid. It was definitely a big upset. And one of my esteemed colleagues, who may or may not be on the show with me, said on Twitter it was one of the worst NA losses in World's history. Just laughable. How did Team Liquid get into this position?
First off, I want to say it's not one of the worst NA losses in history at Worlds because it's Machi or it's the PCS. It's not because they're a Asian Pacific team. Machi deserves a lot of respect. They played a great game. It is more down to what Team Liquid didn't do in the game, where it was very, very boneheaded mistakes in the early game. It was a lack of initiative. The draft had no engage. Yet here is how my day went, Arda, or my night, or my work day, or whatever you want to talk about this in this forsaken time where I wake up at 8 p.m. at night and watch these games in Shanghai, wondering why this is my life. Team Liquid drafts this Lane Kingdom. They go for Lane Kingdom, just like they did against Legacy Esports, the Oceania teams, like in the play-ins, where they're going to dominate in the laning phase. They're going to snowball Broxah on the Graves. They're going to do what they did to Legacy Esports and beat them in 20 minutes by just rolling each lane, getting Rift Herald, taking over the map, and just stomping each and every position possible. And out of the gate, I'm a bit hesitant. Machi's better than, Legacy Esports and most of the teams that Team Liquid played in the play-ins. But no, I was wrong, Arda. I was wrong because in the first few minutes of the game, it's Tactical and Core JJ on the Caitlyn Lux Death unit, the kill lane that Team Liquid specifically chose with their last pick in the draft to make sure on red side, to make sure this is the draft they wanted so desperately. And you know what? They locked down a kill. The Caitlyn, the kingpin, the queen pin in this situation gets the kill, and she's ready to go off, and everything looks great, and I'm so excited. I'm like, yes, here we go. Team Liquid is going to continue their business-like attitude, pick up a win against a team they're favored against, and on we go. Not more than about 10 seconds later, we zoom over to mid lane, where Gemini, the jungler of Machi, ganks our dear friend Jensen. And
then
Jensen has flash. He has flash. He has flash already. He has flash. He has flash. He's gonna flash away. He's gonna flash into tower range. He's fine. He's gonna survive. He's gonna have to play safer in the mid lane. He's gonna have to lose a bit of CS. He's gonna have to play safe, but he'll survive. He's gonna flash. We're gonna have control on the bomb side. We're gonna get the momentum. We're gonna snowball that bomb laid lead into a dragon. Then just it's the plan's perfect. But you know what? Jensen doesn't flash. He gets killed. That lane just goes to complete and utter mess. Mission, their mid laner, just takes over the game on Syndra, farms up a Storm, and those small leads of Machi through that one instance and some other mistakes like Impact dying in top lane, Machi just didn't let go. They had they actually had to engage in team fighting prowess, so they didn't have to push the issue. They just kept on going as they should have been. They should have scaled. Where Team Liquid's win condition was taken away from them. And instead of trying to make something happen, instead of trying to press their advantage, maybe try to do something a bit tricky or something out of the ordinary to try to get back in the game, to snowball that advantage back into their side, they just waited. And they waited. And they waited. and they waited, and they remind me of senior year in high school when I just waited for someone to come by so I could ask them to prom, and it never happened. And just like that, just like Team Liquid, I sat there on the sidelines, sad and alone, and just like me, Team Liquid was sad and alone, no engage, nothing to do. They just waited till the death sentence came, and Machi chopped off their heads because there was nothing Team Liquid did the entire game to be proactive, and they couldn't because they had no engage. Their main engage tool was a Lux binding. Wow. It was just so disappointing from top to bottom, and Team Liquid's better than this, and I think they're a better team than they showed. And Broxah, I interviewed him afterwards, and we're going to play a clip of that later on after we talk about NA's entire day at Worlds. He was frustrated. This was a game that Team Liquid needed to win, and they knew that. They knew if they were going to get out of this group with Suning and G2, after seeing what G2 and Suning put on in the match after this one, this was a match that they couldn't lose, and they did. Now their backs are already against the wall 1 game in, and they need an upset in their next 2 games to really have a legitimate chance of making out of this group. So it was a horror show for Team Liquid, and it all came down to just these small mistakes. It's these early mistakes where if Jensen flashes and saves himself, sure, he's going to lose out on mid priority. He's going to get pushed in. He's not going to be able to play out at all. They're going to try to re-gank him, but he still lives. But these just small instances just put them behind, and this Team Liquid had no opportunity to pull a trigger. They had no engage, and it was just like it was watching a slow death, Arda. By the 20-minute mark, I knew it was over because they had no real opportunity to really, use their composition properly anymore because their win condition of just snowballing the lanes didn't work out. And the worst thing is Machi actually did like 2 50-50 Barons, which could have given Team Liquid the win if Broxah could have stolen the Baron, and it would have been really, really hilarious, and I'd be laughing about how Machi threw away almost a certain victory because they just took 50-50 Barons like no one else is doing in this tournament. No, we have not seen 50-50 Barons at all outside of the Machi game. But as North American does at Worlds, they disappointed. No Baron still to be had on this day, and Team Liquid fell to Machi in a slow, painful death. And even though I do think Team Liquid has a lot better to be shown, this was the one game where they could not afford to lose. If they did this against Suning or G2, you could write it off. You could say they can come back next time. They still have, an easier match to come up with. But this was supposed to be the easiest match. No offense to Machi. They might even be better than Team Liquid. That might also just be the fact. Where Machi in the PCS might just be better than the North American League of Legends right now. And if you tell me that and you believe in that, I can't argue against it. So that was the first heart sore in the heart today, Arda, and it really is. It was a great opening to the day. I was so excited for more League of Legends action after that game.
Take a breath, my friend. That was a long monologue. You deserve it.
I'm so sad.
Jensen definitely wants a reincarnation after going 0-3 today on the day, and there is a. Can we put hearts in the chat for Tyler, please? Can we just try and cheer him up a little bit? Do you mind just do me a favor and just let's put some hearts in the chat? I'm actually going to put one in right now. Just give me 1 second, Tyler. There's a heart in the chat for you, okay?
Man, that really turned my frown upside down, Arda.
We're trying here. Hey, you're getting a lot of hearts. That's nice. By the way, speaking of chat, Teach Me English says, I have a thesis deadline tomorrow, but I chose to watch TL and TSM today.
I'm so sorry.
Do you regret this decision, Teach Me English? I kind of feel like you do. I kind of feel like this was the wrong choice.
I hope you're a Korean fan. I hope you're an LCK fan. If you're that, then you're ecstatic right now. If you're Ashley Kang right now, you're doing backflips because your life is good. But in the world of North America, it's sad and lonely, and all we have is L's. We are 0-4.
Shout out to Ashley Kang, who has just completely taken over the undefeated at Worlds meme from you.
She should.
Absolutely, yes.
Deserves it.
It's like a baton. It was passed on at the Olympics. Exactly what happened.
She writes about and covers a far superior League of Legends region, and I can't dispute that. And I'm just gonna sit in my corner and just wallow and just use this as my depression corner, right? So vent out all my sad feelings to you, Arda.
And I will happily hear them, buddy, because I am always here for you.
Thank you.
I will also be here for you when we transition now to talk about TSM. So when you... That's all you really need to say, actually. We can just end it there. Chat, are you okay with that reaction? Do you need more analysis from Tyler? I think that's it. That's what we need. That's about it. That's all you need. For all the conditions that went wrong for Team Liquid against Machi, it was far more dire for TSM against Gen.G. It didn't look like it, at least in the kill count. I mean, definitely in the gold lead it did. In the kill count it didn't. But to me, that was a more disappointing loss, because going into this, TSM, we really felt would have a chance here against Fnatic, against Gen.G to show their prowess. But honestly, Tyler, from my untrained eye, it looked like they were unmatched everywhere. Outclassed, I mean. They were outclassed everywhere in the map. Like, Gen.G decisively won this game.
Oh, yeah. Like, the Machi Team Liquid game is more embarrassing. It's more disappointing in a way, because Team Liquid, I honestly do believe, has the talent and the experience and just the pedigree overall to beat a team like Machi. And then, again, no offense to Machi, I just think Team Liquid overall is a stronger team. That might change very soon after we watch more of these matches, but Gen.G versus TSM was TSM trying to play quasi-comfort, bringing the Zilean, the Senna, putting Spica back on the Nidalee after his first, kind of ineffective Nidalee game. And, he got the ganks off. He got a few of the ganks off. And it seemed like, and there was plays and there was these skirmishes where, the flash Zilean revive of, in the bottom lane that, saved, saved the bottom lane of, don't even remember who he saved because my mind is so frazzled and sad. But, there were there was a few plays that gave you hope. And it was like, oh man, they just won a 2v1 skirmish, or, they layered the Senna ultimate atop of, a Redectin stun and a double bomb, and they got off, they killed Rascal, woo! And then you look at the gold lead, and it's like 4 kills to 1, but Gen.G's up 4k gold. And it's just that Gen.G played the map so much better, and it all started from the mid lane where, you're taking Zilean, who's a very mana-intensive champion, who needs to, get his items on to actually spam out those double bombs and spam out the speed-ups and spam up everything he needs to be a fully functioning annoyance that Zilean at full power can be. And it's why Bjergsen has piloted him so well in the LCS and even international tournaments before. But BDD, one of the best mid laners in the world, comes in with Set, a monolith, champion where he can just spam out his abilities and he can sustain in the mid lane. And Zilean, Bjergsen had no option. He had no real counterplay. Spica really couldn't make any difference in the mid lane, and it was just BDD just monsterly smashing Bjergsen, where by the 10-minute mark, BDD was up 30-35 CS. And even when Spica's ganks did work in the top lane with Broken Blade against Rascal's Volibear, his Volibear is excellent, Volibear still had the lead. The only lane that actually did decently in lane was the Senna and Rakan bottom lane, where Doublelift, even though he was getting pressed in by Ruler, still stood up and did pretty decently in the early game. But the thing is, like, the combination of the composition in general just didn't fit. There was just no damage. There was no punch, especially when you're playing against a fully tanked up set, a set that is so far ahead in terms of CS, where he can get his items and be beefy and just be that front line alongside Volibear. There just wasn't enough damage, especially when your main damage dealers essentially are the Nidalee and the Senna. And Senna couldn't get enough souls. She wasn't really that big of a worry for Gen.G, and neither was Nidalee. Nidalee got her, Spica got his 2 ganks off. Congratulations. But when it came to CS, he was down again, 30, 40 CS, 2 Clid. And Clayton was one of the few Lilias that we've seen who actually worked the champion as how she should play, where her clearing speed in the jungle makes her such a menace where she can just take over the jungle and take all the camps is what I do. And by the time that they actually got into the team fighting segment, they just had no damage. And there was a few instances where it looked like, oh man, TSM can win this fight. They have the revive of Zillion. They got close to picking up some members. But when it really came down to it, BDD was just too good. He was suplexing Rakan out of any sort of chance of trying to charm the team. And even when they had full reign of like opening up on Gen.G, the damage just wasn't there. So I actually agree with you. Your untrained eye, was right, where it just was, they were outclassed in every way. And it feels like they've tried to play too cute a bit, where they played some of their comfort and they tried to, take over in the early game, and it just didn't work out. Same thing with Team Liquid, where they wanted to have some sort of presence in the early game with that jungler, where it's all about the early game jungling, right, Arda? Where get that jungler fed, get that canyon level Nidalee out there, or the PO6 level Nidalee, and they wanted that for Spica, but Spica didn't have the lanes to do it, where you want your lanes to be sturdy enough to actually be able to, sustain that Nidalee, for that Nidalee to take over the map where she can free farm because her lanes are pushing, but the lanes weren't pushing. So for me, I just feel like the NA teams, I can't really say much about FlyQuest. We've only seen one game of them, but I feel like they have to simplify what they're doing. Mm-hmm. I really liked what LGD did today. They picked a team fighting composition. They picked a pure team fight 5-on-5. Let's scale to a team fight composition, which is what they're good at. They don't try to play what they're not good at, and they've tried to in the play-ins, and we saw how that worked out when they tried to play, a more early game style. They went to what they were good at, and it worked. And they got, the MF is back there, and they have that wombo combo going on, and they beat Fnatic in the end. So it's not over yet. I'm very disappointed. I have not been happy with any of the games I've seen from TSM, Team Liquid, or FlyQuest, but my only hope is maybe they simplify things. Maybe they go back to these wombo combos. Maybe they try to think more of a 5-on-5 team fight, because I just don't see Spica or, even Broxah currently just kind of dominating these teams in the early game like we see with, Damwon or even Gen.G, where it's like, I don't think they have the lineups to really sustain and kind of enable that, hard carry jungler style. And we'll see what FlyQuest does. I think FlyQuest as well should go to their bread and butter, which is that 5-on-5 team fight. Maybe learn from what LGD is doing and try to copy that. But other than that, it was just another disappointing day from TSM. And
yeah,
I'm so excited. I saw the Z-Man, man. I saw the Z-Man locked in. I'm like, ooh.
Spice and everything.
Oh, Bjergsen got the Z-Man. It's all good. It's going to work out, even though the composition didn't look like it made sense at all, really. And I didn't like the Senna pick. It just didn't have enough damage or impact for me, especially when the Nidalee couldn't get farmed enough to even become really that big of a deal in the early game to kind of snowball. It's like, I was like, oh, the Z-Man has so many bombs, and he can revive, and he can speed up. The Z-Man, man, it's Bjergsen on the Z-Man, the Zillion. And yeah, I wish I could press R and just kind of rewind time so I didn't have to watch that match.
Not to open up any old NA wounds here, but which team does have a jungler that could thrive in this meta?
Don't say it, Arda. Don't say it.
Just may or may not have similar colors to this cup. I just
don't say it, Arda.
I'm not gonna say the name. I'm just gonna sip my coffee.
They mental boomed. They didn't deserve to be here, Arda. They don't deserve to be here, and it just
what? That's a good point. That's a good point.
But I wish we could see that jungler here. That jungler would. They might have not won many games, but I think it would have been a lot more fun to see that jungler here in this meta, with his mechanical prowess. But alas, that team mental boomed,
Never mind.
They didn't come.
You're right, Tyler. You're right. Let's move on. Actually, speaking of junglers, you had a chance to speak with Broxah after the Team Liquid loss. Like you said on Twitter, props to Broxah for taking an interview like this after a loss. Yep. And here's what he had to say about the pressure of playing jungle in this world's meta, which is so a statement to the fans and doubters after the Machi game.
This is a very jungle-intensive meta overall, be it the play-ins or the main event, where we've seen, almost all these games come down to what jungler can influence and take over that part, just take over Summoner's Rift in the first, 10 to 15 minutes. Do you feel extra pressure on your shoulders in such a jungler-focused meta where if a team doesn't have a jungler in the right form, not performing well, that there's no chance they can go far in this tournament?
Honestly, I really don't mind playing a jungle-focused meta, and if anything, I see it as an advantage. I'm very confident in my own abilities, despite what people have said about me throughout the summer split, and I know for a fact that I can keep up with any jungler that we're going to face. I've shown that before, and I'm just looking forward to hopefully prove that again.
Final question. You have Suning tomorrow. Obviously, there's going to be a lot of criticism about your game versus Machi. What do you want to say to all the fans out there and, the doubters who are going to obviously be zeroing in on this loss as, a titanic defeat of North America? What do you want to say to everyone out there as you head into your game versus Suning tomorrow?
I think after best of one loss, it happens throughout regular splits, it happens at Worlds, and I've been in a situation so many times before where after week one, I thought I was on the way home, but then magical things happened in week two and we managed to bounce back. And I don't really care about losing one game. Like, again, as I mentioned, it really sucks because this was such an important one for us. This was a must-win game. But at the same time, we can beat any of these teams, and most importantly, we just need to learn from this one. And if we manage to take 1-2 wins in week one, I'll be confident coming into week two. As long as we don't have to do a miracle run starting 0-3, I'll be feeling all right. So yeah, it sucks, it sucks that we're trying to.
Available on our YouTube channel /ESPN Esports. Also today, I did an interview with Bwipo from Fnatic, from Damwon Gaming, and Mickey X from G2, and a whole bunch of archived interviews as well, also available on our YouTube channel. Before we move on from this topic, Tyler, serious question. I'm actually asking this sincerely. Broxah doesn't seem phased. I mean, obviously, he's a pro player. He's going to show a brave face, especially for the fans, and to keep the optimism level high. But he did make a couple good points there. To be fair, to look at this objectively, saying, look, it's a best of one. Sometimes the draft isn't going to go our way. Sometimes we're going to int. Sometimes bad things are going to happen, but magic can happen as well. Is there any part of you, and I'm putting the bias aside here, okay? We are an NA-based show. Totally understand that. We want NA to do well. But even objectively, as somebody who has seen this before, and even Broxah has seen this before with other teams, is there any glimmer of hope here? Is there any way that you can see objectively NA turning the ship around and righting this wrong?
Of course. I mean, dumber things have happened. I mean, Fnatic had no reason. There was no possible reason why they should have made quarterfinals in 2017 when they started 0-3 in the group, and then had to watch Immortals, another North American team, come bust in front of them to make it to the top 8. There's always hope. It's going to be very tough. If they take a game from Suning tomorrow, again, if they beat Suning tomorrow and they upset Suning, everything changes. Everything that we've been talking about shifts 180, it just shifts on its head, and I'm ecstatic, and if everything is right and Team Liquid's narrative changes entirely. But right now, when you have to look at the data we have, and it's a small sample size, we've only seen one game of Suning on the world stage. We've seen one main event game of Team Liquid. It's going to be very difficult. North America, as we've kind of talked about all year long, hasn't been very strong outside of C9, where the C9 was supposed to be the one great hope of North America, and they're not even here because they mental boom. So Team Liquid, obviously, they have a lot of experience. They have a lot of talented players, but they have to shore up those small mistakes. And if there is a lazy getting broken down, that's not going to work against Suning and G2. Against Machi, they were able to have a slow death. They were able to prolong it into possibly stealing a Baron or having a lucky team fight go their way. If they have those small mistakes, if they trip up against Suning or G2, that long death is going to turn very, very quick and swift, and it's not going to be pretty. So, of course, always I want to look on the bright side. I want to have the hope. I'm sure when I go to sleep after the show and wake up tomorrow, I'm going to think of all the possibilities of how Team Liquid can beat Suning and how FlyQuest can make a run in Group D. But for right now, I would say we have to just have our expectations where they are. And Suning and G2 are great teams, and we're about to talk about them. And from what we saw in that matchup today, Team Liquid has nothing that can touch that.
We talked about giving star ratings to
star
certain
ratings.
matchups. Is this a 5-star match?
Oh,
that's assuming.
That's an interesting question. Like, I would want to ask chat. If let's say we scaled, League of Legends matches on a 1 to 5 star scale, 5 being a never gonna forget it, a perfect game, a game that just from start to finish enthralled you and was the highest level of League of Legends you could possibly think of. That's a 5-star match to me.
So then I would say this is a 4 then. Like, it was very, very good. I don't know if I'm going to remember it for years to come, but this was definitely the best match at this Worlds for me, entertainment-wise.
I think it could border on a 5. I mean, Zale talked about how this could be the most exciting game he's ever casted. He's been around forever.
I think I want to give credit to Flowers and Azale because they brought it from a 4 to a 5. If you're going to rank it a 5-star match, it's because they brought the excitement. So, like, as a caster, I know a thing or two about casting. They did a great job of amplifying, and that's what you want from especially a play-by-play caster like Flowers. And that's why he's so good at his job. You want him to bring that excitement in that moment while giving you the information you need, and he did it perfectly in that matchup. So, props to him. It was great. It was great.
Yeah, it was a stupendous performance, not just by the teams, but the casters, and just overall, it was just a super fun match. I would give it like a 4 3/4 stars. I think it's like bordering 5 stars. I think it's a match that we will remember. I put it on Twitter. This is like the redux of the Fnatic versus OMG game from 2014, where you had the base race of a Fnatic barely missing out, Cyanide not getting the last hit on the Nexus, people kind of like zeroing in on what could have Fnatic done in those like split seconds to win the match of a game that just went the other way, where this game was back and forth, exciting, ton of mechanical outplays. Sofum, SFOM from Vietnam was marvelous. He was so good on that Lee Sin. His tanky Night Val Lee Sin was so funky and so great to watch. But the G2 is a team, I'm gonna give you a tip of the cap, Arda, where you talked about their mental fortitude and how this team's mental fortitude is one of the reasons why you're picking them to win it all. G2 is your pick to win the championship because of the mental fortitude. A lot of teams would have lost that Ocean Soul and they would have given up. They would have done what Team Liquid did and just kind of played back and just kind of been choked out and just kind of run over by the Ocean Soul team, which would have tanky Lee Sin, and they just would have lost the game, where G2 had the moxie, they have the confidence, they kind of have a bit of arrogance to them where they're going to take these fights and they're going to think that we can outplay even Ocean Soul leading team. And it was Mickey X's Bard, and it was Caps TF, and it was these small, mechanical outplays that we've seen G2 do so many times, and combining them together, leading to what a thrilling victory, and just a start that G2 is really going to get them going. I think this is a win where G2 now feels it, where Yankos is laughing, Caps is laughing. It's a memorable match. It's a game they probably should have lost, but I think G2 gets fueled up by these kind of victories. And that mental fortitude showed off in today's match, where most teams at Worlds lose this game. G2, with their confidence, with their mental fortitude, won out.
How about Perkz in this matchup? What did he have, like 10,000 damage
in a team fight? Yeah, 10,000 damage in a team fight. I don't even know if that's still real. I mean, it's Ezreal, and it was a very long team fight that was elongated by back and forth. Obviously, the poke is there. Perkz is amazing, man, and we talked about this in our top 20 show where Perkz is definitely a top 20 player at Worlds. He's arguably a top 10 player. You could even argue top 5. His season up to this point wasn't worthy of being top 20, but he is here at Worlds. Perkz is a gamer. Perkz gets bigger as the stage gets bigger. We saw this back in 2018 when he took, with Wonder, a G2 team that had no business making even out play-ins really, and took them all the way to the semifinals. So Perkz is a player that when the bright lights shine, he is really there to kind of be that main character alongside Caps, Wonder, and just the rest of the team. There's all big game players. Mickey X in particular, he was my MVP of this match. His Bard was exquisite. You really couldn't have asked for a better bar game. His double stuns, and he had a double stun in a dragon fight that kind of tipped the scales on his side. His delays with the Bard ultimate, just really smart play from a player that's often overlooked on the team because he's with so many big personalities and so many legendary players. When Captain Perkz and even Jankos, you could say, might be the three best Western players of all time. And I don't think that would be a stretch to say Jankos, Caps, and Perkz are the three greatest Western League of Legends players of all time. And for Mickey X, he's often seen as, he's regarded and hailed as one of the best Western supports, but he's often overlooked just because of the company he keeps. But man, if Mickey X wasn't here today, they don't win this game.
He's like the fourth musketeer. You always talk about the three musketeers, but there's a fourth one that sort of gets overlooked sometimes. But
who's Wonder though? Who's Wonder?
I don't know. Is there a fifth? I guess I don't know.
I mean, he's playing World of Warcraft. He doesn't care. He's playing World of Warcraft right now. He's not
tapping in the super server.
Yeah. He's like, I don't care. Like, you guys give me the four musketeers. I'm gonna go play WoW and just level up my mage. So have fun, guys.
75% of players pick G2 to win Group A in our League of Legends predictor, by the way. And you can join us for free with all your friends. Create a custom group. You can battle against each other, keep track of points. ESPN.com/League of Legends predictor. Or if you have the ESPN Fantasy app, you click on the trophy tab. You can follow along the entire way through groups, the playoffs, and the grand finals. There'll be different questions for you to answer to accumulate points. Just like this program, we're with you every step of the way until a world champion is crowned. So feel free to sign up today and answer some questions. I will not tell you where my standing is because I'm embarrassed by it, Tyler.
I'm 103. I'm in the 103, and I feel very good about my choices that I made. I have Top Esports winning their group. I have Damwon winning theirs. I have G2 winning theirs. I'm not going to say who I picked for the TSN group and who won that group. That doesn't really matter. That's not important at this time. But no, I'm doing good of my predictions. I'm doing. It's really fun. I'm doing well. I'm going to see if I can get top 50 by the end of the Worlds. But here's the thing: when all the NA teams are eliminated this round, and we have quarterfinals, semifinals, and finals, and all of the NA teams are gone, I'm going to be unbiased, and I can actually be objective and actually look at these matches and analyze them. When it came to predicting matches so far, I've been pretty spot on. I've been like 95% on all my match predictions going into play-ins, except for when there's an NA team involved. When an NA team is involved, I talk myself into TSM beating Gen.G, and I look like a total idiot.
Well, listen, we're going to try and be as unbiased as possible on this program.
Yeah.
Particularly as we move on to our next topic, we're going to talk about continued LEC performance in Day 2. How about Rogue? They fall to Damwon. Damwon looking good. They look strong. It looked like they were winning lanes. Rogue looked okay in parts, but this was really a Damwon victory and a decisive one. Tyler, what'd you take away from it?
It kind of reminded me of the current NBA Finals. If you don't know, I mean, I guess I'm talking to like esports fans here, so like. Lakers and Heat might kind of go over their head. It was a game where on paper it looked closer than it actually was. I give Rogue a lot of credit for keeping it in there. I give them credit for taking advantage of the small missteps that Barrel had that could have quickened the game far more. But Damwon's game plan was really, really smart. The Lulu last pick to kind of just push Gangplank under his tower. The very early level 3 gank to kill him and just kind of ruin that lane entirely. They were just really, really smart. And it showed the duality of Damwon in the sense of they can either be this bludgeoning, barbaric, bloody team that they really are, where they are just waves of violence, and it's not fun. If you're on the other side, like JD Gaming was yesterday, it's not fun to watch your team just get smacked around from skirmishes to 5-on-5 team fights to 1-on-1s where you just have no answer to them. But then you had today where ADG got into the mud with Damwon, where they were like, I'm going to get into the pit of death. I'm going to get in the octagon. I will bare fist box you to the death. And we saw what Damwon did to them, and it was not pretty. Where today, Rogue is, we're going to play safe. We're going to play very, very respectful. They gave Damwon so much respect in the laning phase in the early game where they kind of let Damwon dictate the pace, and Damwon didn't, you would think that we've seen some of these teams before, like Invictus Gaming of 2018, who won the World Championship. If a team was playing respectful against them, they were still going to fight. They were still going to play bloody. They were still going to do, wacky tower dives, even if they didn't make sense, because that's all they really knew how to do. Where Damwon, they were the barbaric street fighter yesterday, and today they came in the suit and tie and said, all right, you're going to play respectful? We're just going to take advantages all around the map, and we're just going to put on our suit and tie and just kind of breeze through this game. And that's what they did. They took every little, convenience that Rogue allowed them, and they scooped it up, and they just kind of ran away with the game, where very similar to the Gen.G versus TSM game, the kill score was, very close, but, you look at it's Rogue 2 kills and Damwon 2 kills, but Damwon's up 6k gold because they took over the entire map, and Rogue, playing as respectful as humanly possible, just couldn't find an opening. And that's what's the scariest thing about Damwon, and I know this is LEC segment, but it has to be made and kind of solidify, is that this Damwon team has potential to be one of the greatest League of Legends teams of all time. You don't often see a team having so many differing styles, where their main style is that bludgeoning barbaric self, but they also have shown today that they can play to the rhythm that their opponent wants to give. Where FPX was a very singular style, where they played the same style almost entirely through the World Championship. IG, very similar. Even SKT, to an extent, were a very counter-punchy, counter-attacking team, because Bengi was never the most mechanically gifted jungler, so they were often, even when, especially when they were playing against, world-class teams up to their same caliber, they couldn't just dominate and just roll over teams in the early game like Damwon's doing. So Damwon really is a truly different beast. Top Esports might be as similar or even equal to kind of Monster, but Damwon is kind of this creation of the old legendary South Korean style, but molded in this kind of LPL-esque way of playing, where their main style is very LPL-wise, but they showed today against Rogue that they can also play that old school South Korean style, where they're going to wait for you to make the mistake and then counterpunch you. So Rogue, I give them props. They survived. They elongated the match as far as they possibly could, trying to make Damwon make that mistake and counterpunch of their own, but Damwon never really gave it to them. They had a few Meryl missteps, but it was so far gone already that they really couldn't turn those barrel into anything really tangible to put them back into a position of winning. So Rogue still has a chance to get out in second, but Damwon is the class of that group. They're so dang good.
Other team in LEC action today was Fnatic taking on LGD. They fell. We did talk a little bit about Fnatic earlier. Any other thoughts about this matchup?
This group C is going to be very, very messy, and I don't want to talk about TSM a lot, but TSM has the doors open. The door is very much open, where there's Gen.G does look like the head of the class of this group, where they do look. And I've talked to other players. I talked to Naguri today, and Naguri said the second best team he believes right now is Gen.G. Outside of Damwon, he sees Gen.G as their main rival. And I've heard a lot of other pros, really give respect to Gen.G and think they are also a true world contender at the end. So it was give and take. It was give and take with Fnatic, and they have some inconsistencies and they have some low points. I still want to see more from Nemesis. I don't think he had a bad game I don't think he had necessarily a bad game, but they obviously looked much different when Selfmade has his Eve. He wasn't bad at all. Blippo on the set got so far ahead. He had a bit of, it's Blippo. He's going to have his highs, he's going to have his lows. I still think Fnatic is the second best team in this group. If I had to put money on it, I still think Fnatic and Gen.G get out. Fnatic's a team that always turns it on week 2. I think they're definitely going, even if they lose to Gen.G and they go 1-2 on the first week of games, I really do believe in their ability to turn things around and kind of game plan for the upcoming second set of round robin games. But it was a decent day for Europe overall. Rogue didn't get embarrassed. Fnatic had a very close game versus LGD, who got to their team fighting phase of they got scaled enough, and Fnatic wasn't able to snowball hard enough to win that game in the first 20 minutes. And then G2 had one of the, stole the victory from the depths of defeat. And one of the best Worlds games of the the group stage we've ever seen. So it's better than NA. I mean, they got 1 win, so that's way better than what we did. So congrats to Europe.
We did, right. Who's our player of the day, Tyler?
Oh man, do I have to bring up this game again? I guess I do. I mean, it's one of my favorite players. It's a player that I've championed for so long. I mean, I've always said he's one of the best players in the world. I said he was a top 10 player coming into the World Championship, and he's actually proven it. It's BDD. He dumpstered Bjergsen today. Mm-hmm. It was a smart pick. He was prioritized. They gave him a set. It was the first pick on blue side, and he did work with it from top to bottom. He stymied the Zillion who was out of mana consistently. By the 15-minute mark, he was 30-40 CS up. He was wrecking havoc across the map. And when it really came down to the team fight, when TSM thought they had a chance to kind of turn the match, turn the tide to the game, when they felt confident enough with their items, the set was far too big, far too tanky, and just far too talented from PDD piloting him for TSM to have any kind of shout to win that game. So BD needs to be respected more. He is one of the best mid laners at the World Championship. Mm-hmm. And if he plays like this, and if Ruler and him can be that 1-2 punch with also Rascal, I want to give a lot of credit to Rascal, who is kind of similar to Mickey X, is the 4th or 5th Musketeer on Gen.G, where he's often relegated to the janitor role, where he is that he does all the dirty things. He plays the Ornn. He plays these grimy champions that are left on the island. He's often playing weak side, while Ruler and BDD are playing on the strong side, and that's the focal point of the team. And he's kind of often relegated to being the sacrificial lamb, but he's played so well so far, and just the entire team from 1 to 5. I don't know. They are a team with no weaks. In terms of individuals, I think they're one of the few teams where I don't see a weak point on their team. I can't point to any of their 5 members and say this is the weak chain in their their chain of success. I think all 5 players are excellent.
So BDD is our player of the day. He was 3-0-3, deathless on set against TSM. Of course, lane mate Bjergsen Zillion. Now, time for what many people will consider to be the main event of our program. Every day here on Wake Up Worlds, and that sigh says it all, folks.
Yeah.
I ask Tyler one question near the end of the show, and that is to gauge his optimism in North America at Worlds. And I really hope that you were with us at the start of the program, because that probably gave you a good idea on where his optimism lies. I will tell you that if you've been watching Wake Up World since the very beginning of play-ins when we started the show, optimism was high. He was at a 10, even higher than a 10. Things were going great. Team Liquid was wearing 3-piece suits. They were businesslike. There was the Secret Service in the bot lane. We were riding high. But then, we are here now, today, especially what happened today, which will be remembered forever as a day of sorrow and sadness. But now we must ask the question, to be diligent, and for chat, and for the memes, Tyler. Where is your NA optimism today?
First off, I just want to say a 10 for my optimism scale was one team being the top 8. My optimism scale was 10 wasn't winning Worlds. 10 was my legit, like my rational optimism peak of one team from North America making top 8. That was my peak. That's why I was excited. I thought the group stage draw was as perfect as it could be for one of these teams to make it out. I was hyped. I got into my own head. I hyped myself up. I created these own narratives, writing them in my head about how Team Liquid could make it out, how TSM could make it out, how could even FlyQuest could make it out. It's been 4 days. It's been 2 days, 4 games, and I don't think we've won a team fight yet, which is kind of concerning. I think you have to usually win team fights to actually win League of Legends games more often than not. I've gone down from my 7 that I was at yesterday after the O2 day. I'm at a 2. I am at a 2. I feel really bad. I just don't. I feel it was a gut punch. It was really a gut punch, and I even after the Machi game, I was like, okay, Team Liquid could still be more talented. And then watching the TSM versus Gen.G game, and I was just like, they were outclassed. And it wasn't. I can't make a tweet about it. I can't be like, oh man, they made this mistake here, they made a mistake there, they made the level 1 mistake against Fnatic, where you can say all these small mistakes turned into big victories for the other team. Where it's this here is like, Gen.G's just better, and that hurts. And it hurts because you look back, 5 years ago, kind of the first iteration of this rivalry, if you could call it that, was the Samsung Galaxy versus TSM game, where I was there in San Francisco, where famously Lucian, or Double Lift on Lucian, got instantly deleted by Crown. Samsung Galaxy, now Gen.G, got deleted instantly in a moment where TSM could have gotten Baron and won that game and advanced on the top 8, where everything went wrong from that moment on. But back then that was a very close series. TSM won one of those round robin games. Like, they could have 2-0'd Samsung, who would go on to be a finalist that year, who pushed SKT to 5 games in that final. And you go from that, where TSM back then was so well respected. People thought they were a top 4 team. They thought these were the pros I was talking to, like the Korean pros and Chinese pros, honestly believed that TSM could be a finalist that year. They were that good.
Wow.
And that was such a competitive series. And, Double Up gets memed for that moment to this day, but that was still such an exciting game where there was 2 evenly matched teams going at their height of their powers in a back-and-forth tussle. Very similar to the Suning versus G2 game of today, where Suning lost, but, man, that was a war. And then you look at today with with Suning, or not Suning, with
Team Liquid and TSM.
TSM versus Gen.G, and Bjergsen and Biofrost and Double Lift are still there. Only ruler remains from that Samsung Galaxy team now on Gen.G, but it's just different classes, Maybe if a different draft, maybe if a team fighting composition, maybe, but it just hurts, and I'm down to a 2, and I don't even want to think about tomorrow if we go 0-2 again.
Can we just show that graphic one more time? I just want to point out to the audience that Tyler's face has changed. You need emotes, man. We need to make Beyond on Fire emotes is what we really need. I can only imagine what's going to happen if your NA optimism reaches 0 and what your face would be then.
This is my job. My job is to come on the show and to basically break down and just to watch me slowly die inside. And I mean, we're 2 today. Tomorrow it's FlyQuest versus Unicorns of Love and Suning versus Team Liquid. And if FlyQuest loses Unicorns of Love and if Team Liquid loses Suning, we might need a new graphic that goes below 0, because I
might need a new co-host if that happens. We may not be able to find you.
Yeah. You might have just Jacob Wolf just pop out of nowhere and just be the new co-host of the show.
I might have to find someone new. We may not be able to find you in the fetal position on the ground like you said yesterday.
I'm going to Valorant, man. I'm going back to Valorant.
All right, first strike, let's go.
First strike tournament, like Valorant, like let's go.
100 Thieves announcement, let's go.
100 Thieves, yeah. Okay. But
all right,
tomorrow is a big day. Tomorrow, if you thought today was a calamity, tomorrow might be worse.
Tomorrow's going to be a big day, and of course, we also do tomorrow's headlines on the show. Here's my headline for what I think will happen tomorrow, or just a general headline that you would read tomorrow. PCS win Worlds, meaning in quotation marks. And what I mean by that, of course, they're not going to win the world championship. I don't think that, but I do think that they've won the hearts of many fans, not just because of PSG talent and what they did in the play-ins, but also the opportunity after beating Team Liquid. They play G2 tomorrow, and I think that's going to be a big morale game. Imagine the world, and even if it is unlikely on paper, but just imagine the world, Tyler. Imagine a world where Machi is able to pull it off, and everyone always talks about them pull off the gas just a little bit, especially when the pressure is not there. When the pressure is there, when their backs are against the wall, G2 perform. But when they have a little bit of breathing room, that's when G2 sort of they don't bring their best game sometimes. And if the stars align, and if Machi win a game here, all of a sudden they're going to be the toast of the town. We will probably talk about Machi extensively on Wake Up Worlds tomorrow, if that happens. I'm not saying they're going to win the group. I'm not even going to say they're going to win the rematch against G2 in the next week. But what I do think is going to happen is that people will suddenly look at PCS a lot more seriously.
Undefeated as a player with PSG talent in the plains, and now he's back as a coach with Machi, and they're 1-0 versus Team Liquid. So D is undefeated on 2 different teams.
It's October 4th, and D is undefeated at Worlds, baby. Let's go.
What a stud.
What's your headline?
My headline is 018 The Dream. Yeah, that's simple as that. Let's go 0-6 FlyQuest, 0-6 TSM, 0-6 Team Liquid. Why not? Why not? That's all I gotta say. 018 The Dream. Let's go.
Whose dream is this?
Everyone, 95% of Reddit, most of Twitch chat, a lot of the people, a lot of anime avatars in my Twitter mentions. Like, if NA somehow, and I'm not, the chances of this are very low, by the way. Like, even me at my 2-level optimism is like, it's a strong, almost impossible for all 3 of these teams to go 0-18. If they went 0-18, North America will never be a region again. They will be memed into oblivion. They will cease to be a region. They will lose all authenticity. Every player will be mocked forever, and NA will never be a legitimate region again. And it would be the most horrifying day of my life if they went 0-18. It would be, oh my God, it's going to happen.
I think it would be a bad day for you. It would be a great day for your social media, though. I imagine you gaining like 30,000 followers in a day, just people wanting to get your take on this. I think it would be a good business reaction, but maybe not so much personally. I get that. Before we wrap things up here on Wake Up Worlds, any final thoughts, Tyler? I'd love to hear. I mean, you've said a lot on this show, but are there any other final thoughts, whether it's something you haven't said or something you want to hammer the point down? What are your final thoughts?
Currently, my mood is sorrowful and pessimistic, and I don't think North America really has any chance to do anything in this World Championship. I think we are a fraud region currently, and we are weak, and we are babies, and we are going to be stomped and kicked and thrown out of the bubble one by one as tears run down my face on this show. But I'm going to, leave the show, eat a dinner at 9 a.m. in the morning, go to bed, get my rest, wake up, and I'm going to be on Twitter and make a tweet about, man, maybe we could turn it around today. Maybe this is the day that Team Liquid makes the big move. This is the day that FlyQuest runs over the Unicorns of Love and makes a statement. And I'm going to be all hyped up and jazzed for the first game of the day, and I'm going to be so excited. And we're going to do it all again tomorrow, Arda. And this is my hell. This is the Groundhog Day from hell, my friend. And every day you're going to see me break down piece by piece until I am nothing but a fetal position, crying 28-year-old man in his apartment with my neighbors laughing at me because even they are G2 fans.
Okay. Hold on. Now chat is saying, I mean, I agree with Shirius in the chat. This is getting very sad, okay? Tyler, let's put some optimism out there. Okay,
right,
here,
optimism.
Let's do a 180.
Let's go.
Let me lead the charge. Let me lead the charge before we go here. Yeah. FlyQuest is going to send Unicorns of Love to no man's land. They're going to win. Okay, best of one. See you later. Unicorns of Love, you're not beating FlyQuest. You can fly home before you beat FlyQuest, okay? Then Group A, Team Liquid, and who are they playing tomorrow? Machi? Sune. You know what? Get ready for an upset, Worlds. Get ready for Team Liquid to go back to the 3-piece suits. Team Liquid Incorporated. Let's find the Secret Service in the bot lane. Let's make sure that Team Liquid pull off an all-time upset, especially after what's happened. Optimism for days, people. I haven't lost it. Neither have you in Twitch chat. We will see you tomorrow right here, 11 a.m. Eastern at Wake Up Worlds, when NA has won 2 games, and that optimism scale from Tyler is going to go back up. Stonks are rising, people, okay? Don't lose hope. We will see you tomorrow. NA, yeah! Let's go.
But really, like they're gonna lose tomorrow, aren't they?